showing up to the wedding even after bride said she didn't want me there? This involves me, JJ, bride, and Calvin, groom. Calvin and I grew up together as sandbox kids/neighbors. Took baths together, spent every waking moment of the first 14 years of our life together from preschool to trips our parents would take us on. Our parents always said we were destined to get married, and even as kids, Calvin would always say I'd be the one he'd get married to. High school, we grew apart. There was no bad blood, we just had different interests, and I was an unattractive nerd while he was star of the football team, as cliché as it sounds. We'd still see each other on occasion through holiday parties and neighborhood dinners. Now we're 30. I feel much better about myself and have found success in my single life. Calvin then announced he was engaged a year ago to JJ. There was a holiday party with our families again, and my parents went. I was out of town. Apparently both families and Calvin mentioned me when sharing his baby photos, and that they always thought it would be us engaged. It didn't seem to be in a bad way, just kind of a joke. According to my mom, afterwards, JJ seemed to be really intimidated by me and the past. Apparently the families are still hanging onto the idea that I still wanted to marry Calvin. Sure, I was a tiny bit disappointed that it was like letting go of a childhood crush on Peter Pan. I'm not heartbroken about it and don't feel like anything was taken from me. Move on to JJ. She found me on Facebook and contacted me saying that she would appreciate if I didn't go to the wedding because she saw me as an ex despite us never having a relationship. I left it on read and went anyway to support my friend, and he was thankful I was there. Wished them well at the dinner table and went back to minding my own business and chatting with the other neighbors, Calvin's family, etc. JJ reached out to me again and told me she was really disappointed in me and that me being there ruined her image of having a perfect wedding. I haven't shared this with anyone and don't think I will. I don't feel close enough to Calvin anymore to put a damper on his relationship. She seemed nice enough from what everyone said, so that had me thinking if I really did ruin her wedding by being an R and showing up anyway. Comment 1. YTA. By leaving her on read and not taking a chance to clarify how platonic your relationship with her husband was, you let her believe the family's embellished tales. I also can't imagine showing up to a wedding I was explicitly not wanted at, regardless of family relationship to one side. That's just bizarre to me. If Calvin or family were to ask why you didn't go, you could just be honest and say you respected JJ's wishes and didn't attend, then you wouldn't have looked bad and the ball would be in her court. Comment 2. I can't call you an R because you officially had an invite. But if a spouse reached out to me asking me not to go, I'm not going out of respect for that person on their wedding day. I was going to go ESH, but I don't know if JJ talked to the husband about it or not. Comment 3. Unpopular YTA from me. You haven't talked to him in a long time, remember the fun from the past, leave it in the past. He is loving on with his wife. She would feel more comfortable if you weren't there, and you went because that's what you wanted. The wedding is about them starting their new lives together, and you haven't been a part of that since you hadn't even met her. Refusing to change my daughter's clothes at a birthday party? I, 34F, have 2 kids, 8M and 4F. My daughter's name is Aurora. My husband, 36M, and I chose that name because it was slightly similar to my late Phil's, and worked well with our last names. It had nothing to do with the princess from Sleeping Beauty. In spite of that, we've had fun with that movie in the past, and ever since my daughter realized that she shared names with a Disney character, Princess Aurora has been her favorite. Our family went to Disney World in July, and while there, we bought my daughter a Princess Aurora costume. She adores it, and wears it whenever she has the chance. 2 weeks ago, one of Aurora's friends from school threw a princess-themed birthday party. She encouraged her friends to wear costumes. My daughter wanted to go as her favorite character, which didn't surprise me at all. When we got to the party, the birthday girl came to greet my daughter, and she was also dressed as Princess Aurora. I didn't know what her costume was going to be prior to the party. I got worried for a second, but the birthday girl was actually really excited. She said that they looked like twins. It was adorable. They ran off to play and I forgot about the costumes for a while. About 30 minutes into the party, I was at a table with some of the other moms when the birthday girl's mother came up to me. She asked if I had brought any spare clothes for Aurora. I said yes, I always bring an extra shirt and shorts for her. She then asked me to change my daughter into the spare clothes and out of her costume. The mother explained that she'd hired a photographer to walk around taking pictures of the kids, and was also planning on getting a group photo near the end of the party. She didn't want anyone wearing the same costume as her daughter in these pictures. She also thought her daughter might get jealous, since my kid gets to share her name with their favorite princess. Now, if the birthday girl was the one who had a problem, I might have considered changing Aurora into her spare clothes. But no, she was genuinely excited they were dressed the same. It also didn't feel fair to force my daughter to be the only one without a costume in a party full of children in princess dresses. I said no and explained my reasoning to the girl's mom. She insisted for a few minutes, but I held my ground. Some of the other moms started to back me up, and she eventually got up and left. When I went to pick up my kids earlier this week, I ran into her friend's mom. She accused me of ruining her daughter's party by allowing Aurora to wear the same costume as her. She told me she doesn't think she'll ever be able to look at the pictures without being disgusted by my behavior. I thought she was exaggerating, but I'm starting to doubt myself. Our conflict has found its way to the mom group chat we're both in, and opinions over there are divided. Some think having two girls wear the same costume is no big deal, others think I should have changed my daughter's clothes. Comment 1. If she was so insistent that no one else be dressed as Aurora, why wouldn't she specify that when she sent out invites? NTA, it sounds to me like another example of a mom wanting her little angel to be the only special one. I mean, I get that it's the kid's birthday party. But it was a princess party. Your daughter dressed up as a princess. If there was nothing indicated not to dress as that specific princess, then you did nothing wrong. This is on that mother and her own expectations. Comment 2. NTA for 2 reasons. 1. You didn't know about the mom not wanting anyone dressed as the same princess as the birthday girl, and 2. The birthday girl was excited that they were dressed similar. If the invite had said please make sure your kid isn't dressed as Sleeping Beauty, or if the birthday girl was upset, you would have been the a-hole. But because neither of those things were true, you were not the a-hole in this situation. Comment 3. Nothing was known ahead that the mom had such a rule. NTA. And have to wonder, had there been other princess twins if it was expected no duplicate outfits period. The woman is the one with the problem. Doesn't take much to ruin things for such people. Suspect they try to have things set up to be ruined. Asking future Mel not to tell my toddler they make her sad. My 28F, oldest son is 3 my fiancé's 32M, mom came over few weeks ago and when leaving, asked my 3 for a hug. He initially said no and walked away. Came back unprompted and hugged her. She said, "Oh good BC, I was going to be sad." My fiancé's, aunts and best friends edits, I sent her this. Summed up. We're teaching 3 that he's in control of his own body and self-defined boundaries regardless of how it makes someone feel. If he's trying to make someone upset on purpose, that's a different story. We don't want him to go against his boundaries to make someone feel better. I'm sure you just want to show he's important to you, but we'd appreciate it if you could show it in a different way. Thmil, op, I'd appreciate you not sending me these kinds of messages and we have these conversations in person. Thank you. OP, I don't really see a difference, to be honest. I would have said the same things in person. I didn't see this topic as one that needs to be discussed too much. If you have a response, I'm obviously open to hearing it, but it won't change the fact that saying things that could make my kids feel guilty and responsible for others' feelings will be accepted. Again, you can show that you care for the boys but not in ways that make them feel bad. Thmil, BC, having adult conversation via text I believe are pretty cowardice. When you address me or any other adult via text, it's not really appropriate, So I will end this conversation with, if you can't talk things over with me instead of telling me what not to do, then that in itself is a problem. So I'm done. OP, again, I would say the same words to you in person, nothing cowardice about the method I choose to say these words. The reason I didn't see it made sense to do it in person is BC, I'm essentially asking you a favor and it's your choice to acknowledge it or not. I wasn't looking for a debate about it, just asking that you please not make certain comments to my babies. I'm alright if she'd prefer me to discuss something like this in person, but why ignore my initial message? Seems like blame shifting / diverting to me. She then went to my fiancé and texted him, so by now I'm sure Op told you she was messaging me. If you guys have something you need to say to me, just say it. They had a 30 minutes phone call and my fiancé told me she said she's already distanced herself from coming over and she'll distance herself more if she has to. It's not something she was doing intentionally, I never said it was intentional, just bringing her attention to this and potential repercussions. Chose to message her BC, I'm horrible at having deep / stressful convos in person. I have ADHD, so can't process what I want to say and what other person is said and formulate responses, etc. Also, this is a boundary, so not really up for discussion or debate. Either she chooses to stop or doesn't. Comment 1. She asked for a hug, accepted that he said no, yet you're still mad that she expressed how something made her feel? This is how kids get raised to be selfish, when their parents convince them only their feelings matter. Also, I like what someone else said about you not respecting Fmel's boundary while expecting her to respect yours. Utter. Comment 2. NTA. There was no need for an in-person conversation. If being told not to use language that teaches kids they're responsible for your feelings sends you into a tizzy, maybe you need therapy. Addressing an issue immediately is important, not waiting until later. And really, it was a pretty minor ask. Ignoring my husband after he embarrassed me in front of my entire family? I, 26F, have been married to my husband, 28M, for 2 years. We have been together for 4 years in total. I love my husband more than I can even express in words, and our relationship never really had any major dips until last weekend. In high school, I dated a guy, who we'll call Dan. Just to be clear, this is not my husband. I cannot remember exactly how long the relationship lasted, but it was no more than a year. We did a lot during the time we were together, a lot of our first experiences with some things were together. Things did not work out in the end as we both wanted different things in life, so we ended the relationship and moved on from each other. My sister, 29F, ended up befriending Dan in college and they have gotten very close. Since it's been so long since our relationship ended, I really do not care, neither does Dan. He is very close with my family because he gets invited to so many of the family gatherings. Last weekend it was my mother's birthday and there was a party thrown for her, which my entire family attended, along with family friends. Of course, my sister invited Dan. My husband and I usually do not attend birthday parties, but I insisted that we go to this one seeing as it was for my own mother. My husband agreed. My husband works a very demanding job, so he is normally unable to attend family gatherings, and so he's never met Dan, nor have I told him about my history with him. At the party, Dan was introduced to my husband as my ex. It was my sister who introduced them while I was in the kitchen speaking to family. When I came back, my husband seemed a little off, and when I asked him what was wrong, he just brushed it off and wouldn't answer me. During the dinner, my husband seemed distant, and so I asked him again if he was feeling okay. He immediately stood up from his seat and seemed upset that I hadn't told him about Dan. I tried to explain to him that I didn't feel the need to, but he didn't listen. He completely lost it and started to call me names that he has never called me before, and he even said he didn't know if he could trust me anymore. This was all in front of my entire family and family friends. I have been ignoring him since the party. He seems to feel very guilty and he keeps trying to apologize to me. Comment 1. ESH. If you know your ex appears frequently during family gatherings, why would you not want to give your partner a heads up? Even though you felt like it wasn't a big deal, it probably seems like you hid it from him. Also, what will giving him the silent treatment accomplish? Your husband shouldn't have reacted that way at all. He was wrong for that. Better communication might have resolved this. Comment 2. NTA. First of all, I don't see why your sister felt the need to introduce him as your ex. It was a high school relationship, not like you guys were going to get married or something. Secondly, your husband is not entitled to know about every relationship of your life. He completely overreacted and became unhinged. Comment 3. ESH, the cold shoulder is immature. Him yelling at you was immature. Especially him calling you names. He's entitled to be upset. He's not entitled to take that anger out on you in such a way. I get why you didn't tell him about Dan. It was years ago, it was over, and you two have zero romantic feelings for each other. It probably didn't occur to you because of that. But I also get why your husband felt blindsided. You two need to sit down and talk like mature adults. You should apologize for childishly ignoring him, but let him know the way he spoke to you is absolutely not acceptable.